Welcome, everybody, to our Friday morning. So we are going to, there's an event tomorrow called To Heal is to Make Happy at Vicki Thomas's in Quincy, Massachusetts. There's several teachers. There's Bill Freed, Lisa Natoli, Kimberly Cartwright, Tony Ponticello, Mary Beth Scalisi, Vicki Thomas herself. Anyway, there's a whole line of teachers. It starts at 10:30 and goes till 4 o'clock. It's $25 a person. And that includes an amazing lunch. But if you could just please go on and register today so that they know how much lunch to bring. If you're planning on going and you haven't registered, you can pay online or you can pay when you get there, but just at least go on and register so that they can be prepared. It's on our website. You can go to teachersofgod.org. It's under events. Plus, you can see our new beautiful website. So that's tomorrow, and it's sure to be great. If you've never been to Vicki's, it's just the most beautiful home filled with love and great food and joy. And these events are just crazy good. Speaking of events, there's only about 30 or less tickets left for the ACIM Boston Conference for February 2019, May 2019. Yeah, which is a gorgeous time to be in Boston. There's a whole lineup of teachers. We'll all be there. So that's also on our website, teachersofgod.org, under the events tab. Any other announcements that I can't think of? I'm super excited to tell you a little bit about the Transformation Room. Has anybody heard about the Transformation Room yet? Awesome. Anybody on the waiting list yet? Awesome. So the Transformation Room has been a long time coming, and it is a membership site. It's actually a global movement of love and support, where we just come to heal our mind, to heal from fear. And when we do it together, we're healing the one mind. And a lot of thought and work and hours have gone into this. Really, there are 3 things required of us. I mean, we always have the Holy Spirit, but there are 3 things required of us in order to heal fear. And they're all packaged inside the Transformation Room. And they are practice, intervention, and support. So inside the Transformation Room, as far as practice goes, every month we will have a different coaching topic that we will all be working on together. And based on that topic, there are going to be 4 deliverables, 4 tools, one every week in that month that gets sent to you that you can actually apply to your life and see results. And we're not, you're going to see some of the great teachers from the Teachers of God Foundation in there, but that's not it. We are literally scanning the globe for the greatest teachings in universal truth and non-duality. So you're going to get the best of the best. I think that's it as far as so you're going to get a different deliverable every week. And then the next month we switch to a new topic. And we're also going to throw out a few questions at the beginning and the end of each month. So you actually get to measure your own progress. You actually see the shift. And these deliverables, they'll come in the form of podcasts. We're doing like a morning walk with God. You might get a 20-minute podcast. You could take a 10-minute walk and turn around and take a 10-minute walk back. Meditations, mini workshops, interviews, resources, you name it. It's going to be very contemporary, very relevant. And, this is supposed to be fun. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so intervention, the other requirement for transformation. This is, I think, the one some of us have the hardest time with. So when you're caught in negative emotions or the thought system of fear, sometimes it can be like a runaway train. It's really, really important that you learn to pause and interrupt the pattern. You've got to stop. I mean, we spend a lot of time reading and studying and going to workshops and learning, and that's all great. And meditating, all of that's wonderful. But if you don't stop and interrupt the pattern, when you're stuck in it, like not much really changes. You got to make room for the love to come in and do the work. You gotta shift. So in the transformation room, we have what we call a library. It's like spiritual Netflix of tools, all categorized and easy for you to use. So if there's something that's triggering you, if you're stuck in guilt or shame or fear or having a relationship issue, you can actually, you have a place and a method and the space and the tools to make the shift. You come into the transformation room, which you have 24/7 access to. You have this vast library, and you can look up and find exactly what you need. So to let love in. And we guarantee you'll always leave happier and better than when you came in. And then the third important key to transformation is support. Like we all know, we cannot do this alone. So we are through a private Facebook group. We're going to have a global online community of all of us doing this work together. When I told you about those monthly topics, it will be each week's deliverable. We'll be in the Facebook group talking about it, working on it together, supporting each other, inspiring each other, holding the highest for each other when we can't do it for ourselves, and asking you to do the same, because giving is just as important as receiving this message. So we're really, really, really excited about this. It is a membership, a monthly membership. So we're only opening enrollment a few times a year. So we just opened up the waiting list. And the cart is open when you can actually enroll next week for 4 days. That's it. When it closes, it's closed. It's not opening again until November or December. Because we have monthly topics, and because we'll all be doing this work together, we don't really want to have people coming in halfway. And plus, we want to be able to dedicate our time and energy to supporting you and supporting us all. So the monthly membership, the monthly rate for the transformation room for our founding members is going to be $12. It's $12 a month. That's it. And the next time it opens in November, December, it's going to be $23. The founding members will never go up. It'll always be $12 unless for some reason you cancel and come back in. Then you'll have to use the rate that whatever rates is being used at the time. So it's only $12. If you want to get on the waiting list, I would suggest you do it now. That will keep you up to date as to exactly when the cart is opening next week. And you can also get on the waiting list by going to our website, teachersofgod.org. And it's right there on the front page. Just click join the wait list, and we'll keep you up to speed. The cart, the 28th till the 31st. So, yep, at 9 a.m. on the 28th of July until 9 p.m. on the 31st of July. And then August 1st, we all start. We start with our first coaching topic. And just give you a sneak peek on what it is. It is going to be the art of surrender. And we'll all get a deliverable based on that topic for 1 month. And if there's something that you have in your life that you have difficulty really getting your grips off of and trusting God and handing it over, we will be all doing that together for a month, all supporting each other. And we'll give you all the tools that you need to stay motivated and inspired. And so that's our first month, just to give you a little heads up.
Can we share that on our regular Facebook page?
Share what?
Your Facebook post about it?
You mean the Facebook Live?
No, just the post about the transformation.
Oh, you mean, can you share it on your page? Yeah. I think so. Anybody. Anybody. Yes. So Bonnie was wondering if she could share this transformation room on her personal Facebook page. Is anybody welcome? Absolutely. We're making a point to make sure everybody knows that they're welcome. This is about healing from fear. This is about healing from old hidden beliefs that have been running our lives and causing us to suffer needlessly. This applies to everyone, I'm pretty sure. So we like I said, this is a global movement. We want to, and the more we come together and the more we do this together, the bigger this love and this light is going to grow. So please, yes. Any other questions? Okay, well, so our beautiful, awesome Becky's going to come and read from.
Hello. I'm going to read from the Cafe Gratitude book, and I have something else I want to read too for you. So what we have today is pretty appropriate. First of all, I want to say hello, live streamers, everybody out there. Hi, Debbie. Right? Hi, Debbie. Lisa says hi. So what we have for today is he who would have beautiful roses in his garden must have beautiful roses in his heart. And that's by S.R. Hole. And then the thought to go along with that is, where are you resisting growth? Which kind of goes along with the transformation room thing. Yeah. So there we go. Okay, Okay, now I work rotating shift work. So the day, and it just killed me, the day that everyone was sharing the Camino, I didn't get to share. And I love to share. So anyway, I found this little saying today, and it pretty much, I went to a mass the day before we left there because I said I wasn't going to walk 150 miles to a church and not go to a mass. And so we went to English speaking mass, and it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful mass, and it was for the pilgrims. That's what we're called. When we go to Santiago, we're pilgrims. When we go to Jerusalem on a sacred walk, we're palmists. And when we go to Mecca as a Muslim, we're wanderers. Well, we're pilgrims. So it says, whoever thought the Camino ends in Santiago, do not stop your pilgrim. This is not your final destination. Let the light of your journey now shine for others. This light which comes from the heart of God, like a lighthouse beaming light for ships in a storm. Do not give up now. Do not stop. Facebook. Others are longing to share. What have you received so generously from God? You have not yet discovered how rich you are, what fullness you have received from God. You have not yet come to know the power of the seed which is growing within you and which will one day bear fruit. Let us go, pilgrim, to love others as each one needs our love. Share confidently and with strength, laughing with those whose laughter is contagious, crying with the tears of those who weather difficult times, continuing on to the final day, right to the last step, loving with the love of the one who loved us first. Is that gorgeous? And I read it without crying. Blessings. Oh, yeah. And now, speaking of love, we're going to give some love in the room. And we'll join you in a minute. Namaste. Namaste. I'm going to shut this off.
Pardon me.
Yes, I meant
You gotta reserve the
Talk
room.
about
Okay.
it this afternoon. I know they let Morton rooms. No,
The rates are going up.
Yeah, we'll reserve it. We'll get
we're
it.
going to talk about it today. That's what I figured. That's why I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
You want to turn this on?
Maybe. Stay. Okay, I'm so excited.
Oh, thank Do you want me to introduce you or you just want to hit it?
You can introduce me.
Okay.
Oops, did I just say that? Okay.
Hi guys. Hello, you guys. Can you just tame your joy? Never. So without further ado, I get to introduce one of my favorite teachers and favorite friends in the whole wide world, Kelly Russell, the bomb-tastic Kelly Russell, who is a psychotherapist and also starting her own spiritual coaching business. And I think that anybody who actually gets to be supported and guided by you is the luckiest person in the world, because you're just so loving and you always bring us back to the truth in such a beautiful, fun, real, meaningful way. So if they want to get in touch with you for spiritual coaching, how would they do that?
rockyourjoy.com. Kelly at rockyourjoy.
Kelly at rockyourjoy.com. How can you forget? And rockyourjoy.com. So if anyone just needs a little support or would like a spiritual coach, this is the one. So without further ado, you're going to teach about not judging and how when we don't stop judging, it's because we don't want to.
That's right.
Yeah, good one. All right, so welcome, Kelly Russell.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. I love you guys. So I just want to first address this dress that I have on that several of you said was pretty. This was gifted to me by our beautiful Lisa Natoli. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much.
But I never dared to wear it because I love the dress so much, but I never dared to wear the hot pink, but you are rocking it.
Well, thank you. But you would have been rocking it too.
Rocking your joy.
So I'm here to talk to you today about judgment, and I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you a personal story because that's the way I roll. That's the way I teach. I teach, as you know, on the things that I need to learn. And so this latest thing in my lessons, I needed to learn about judgment, and not only about judging, like don't judge, we shouldn't judge, and the Course tells us not to judge and no judgment, but more of the way that I put it was no judgment. But I want to. Right? Yes. Okay. So first, I just want to I've been thinking about this because of something that happened to me, which I will share with you. And it's funny now. You know, it goes through that period of being really serious and a really kind of a big deal and taking up all my time and energy and going through all the negative emotions. And then afterward, when you're able to actually look at the ego mind and as the Course tells us to be able to laugh at it, then it's completely disempowered. So I will tell you about that in a little bit. But so I've been looking through the Course at what does it have to say about judgment? It has to say a lot about judgment, but it talks about judgment at different levels. So the first level that the Course talks about judgment, and where I know that we're all familiar with this, is it talks about the ego's dream of judgment. So that we were all together as one in this blissful, beautiful, no separation, no change. Everything was just orgasmically wonderful all the time. If you can imagine that. I can't really imagine it, but I try. It's fun to imagine that. And then we had appeared to have this tiny mad idea that was over in like a nanosecond, but because we are made of God, we are made of the same love that God is made of and the same incredibly powerful ability to create, when we had that tiny mad idea, it gave birth to this dream in our minds, which is where it still is. It was never anywhere else, but it's a very real feeling dream that began with the Big Bang and turned oneness into a bazillion, cajillion particles of separateness, right? And that's what began the idea, our idea of differences. So before that, it was all one. There was no difference. It was timeless. It was changeless. It was all love, 24/7, all the time, the total love channel. And now we have difference, and now we have separateness. And from that, this incredible, this tiny little part of our mind, but because just because it's a tiny little part of our mind, doesn't mean that it's not powerful, because we have the power of God within us. That's what we're made of. And so this incredibly powerful little part of our mind believed that we were separate and that now we needed to be afraid. Now we needed to be terrified, because what have you done now? Now you've separated from God. Now, he's not going to love you anymore. You went against him. You tried to be God yourself. You rejected him. You abandoned him. You are. Okay, it's over for you. You are so guilty. You better go somewhere. You got to get out of here. This is not going to, you're not going to be welcome here anymore. Persona non grata. So the ego mind, this is the ego part of our mind, says, but I have this great idea. I have this place where you can go and you can be God. God won't even know you're there. He doesn't even know about this place. And you can be the boss of it. You can be God. You can have all the power. So all you have to do is come with me. So we go into this land of separation that is this universe. So we have to be careful when we say the universe is doing this, and the universe is doing that, and the universe is giving me this, and the universe is going to make things happen. The universe is part of the separation. Okay, so that all happens, and it creates, evolution, which eventually, over millions of years, creates the body. But that was the first kind of judgment. Okay, so the first level of judgment was the ego's judgment. I know there's no E in judgment except for ego, right? I'll just do it like that. Against God, okay? And then when we're Course in Miracles students, the Course in Miracles talks about the judgment that we are called to practice, that we are called to try to do, which is the judgment of the Holy Spirit. Hi, Al. Awesome Al just came in. So the judgment of the Holy Spirit, which is what we aspire to as Course in Miracles students. It's what we are asked to practice. And the judgment of the Holy Spirit is everything that is happening in this, that appears to be happening in this world, everything that anyone does, anything that appears to go on, anything anybody says, no matter how seemingly terrible it is, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, right? No matter how awful it seems like it is either an expression of love or a call for love, a calling out for love. And so the Course teaches us that the judgment of the Holy Spirit is always love. The judgment is always love. Yeah, but what about Hitler? Love. Yeah, but what about Trump? Love. Yeah, but what about happening with the children and the separation of the families? Love. It's all love. There's no, well, yes, love. Oh no, that's too terrible. We're gonna hate on that. No, it's always love. So that's that's the Holy Spirit's teaching, is that it's always either, I dropped my other pen. It's either an expression of love, which is, the expression of love is easy, right? I love you. I adore you. I'm grateful for you. We know what those expressions of love are, and they feel really great, and they feel warm and fuzzy, and there's nothing wrong with them. And if we are going around expressing love all day long and never having a judgmental thought, well, we're probably going to disappear, because we're not going to probably be waking up in a body with eyes, opening our eyes and being in the world of separation if we are all, if every thought we have is love. But we are aspiring to that. So it's either an expression of love or a call for love. So the call for love is anything that anybody does or happens to you, whether it's to the body, it's pain, it's a car accident, you lose all your money, your husband cheats on you, your girlfriend breaks up with you, you lose your house, the IRS takes everything, whatever it is, love, okay? And then the other judgment of the Course in Miracles is what they call the final judgment, or God's judgment. And I was reading about it, and it's not really God's judgment, because God, as the Course in Miracles says, God knows not of judgment. Because if God was judging, I don't want God to be judging. If God was judging, then God would not be all love, because all love is incapable of judging, right? So it doesn't make any sense that God would have a judgment. The final judgment is called in the Course in Miracles. It does say the final judgment, and it refers to it as God's judgment. It's not really. It is our judgment of ourselves after the atonement has been completed. And the atonement in the Course in Miracles is defined as the full realization that the separation from God never occurred. And so the final judgment is our absolute getting of that on such a level that we look at our miscreations, which is what the Course calls every unloving thought that we ever had. We are able to look upon our miscreations with love, thus transforming them so that they fall away. There is nothing left but love. And then we remember who we are. And we are welcomed back into the kingdom of heaven. Not that we were ever unwelcome there, but we unwelcomed ourselves. It's like we were at some party where it was all awesome, and then we got into some kind of a bitch fight with our own selves, and then got all into no, and you can't say that to me, and don't disrespect me, and all that. And then we left the party, and then we blamed the person that was having the party, which is God, for somehow kicking us out. Okay, but that's not the way it happened. We took our own selves out of the party. So when we've completed the atonement, and we come back into that full realization that we never separated from God, that we are all love, that we've only ever been love, that we are only capable of love, we're able to look at our projections, not with guilt, but with love. They disappear, the universe disappears, all of this disappears, and we're back where we never left. I mean, our awareness is back where we never left, because in truth, we never left, right? Whereas the Course in Miracles says, we're on a journey without distance to a home we never left. We never left, but we did fall asleep and are dreaming this crazy dream of separation, right? So God's judgment is really final judgment. Final judgment is really the completion of the atonement. And the completion of the atonement, the vehicle that we use is forgiveness. Okay, and I'm going to talk about forgiveness later on, because I think I'm incapable of getting through a teaching without talking about forgiveness, as I think you guys all know. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, because it certainly plays into this. But what I want to talk about, so this is the expression, the first is the ego's judgment against God, causing all this world of form. And then the Holy Spirit's judgment is everything is an expression of love or a call for love. And then when we have done that to the point where we are able to see everything as love and completely forgive ourselves, thus completing the atonement, then we're at the final judgment, and then we can be in the awareness that we're back home. But what happens right here in the "but I want to" part? Okay, because I think this is something that's really important that we need to look at. And I know I need to look at it. And since there's nobody else out there, because there's only one Son of God, which is all of us, one mind, all minds are joined, it's one mind. So if I need to look at it, then that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just sharing my looking at it with all of you. And if any of you as part of me experience this too, then maybe it will be helpful. So why do we want to judge? Why is it such a pull, such a powerful pull? I can just be in that place of love and be in my morning, prayer and meditation. I'm all one with everything and seeing everything through the eyes of love and reading my Course in Miracles or doing one of my Teachers of God programs and then something happens. It's like that should be like a capital S and a capital H. Like something happens. And it could be something somebody says. It could be something that, just occurs. It could be a client cancels an appointment. It could be something happens with my body. It could be something financial, whatever. Something happens. That's like a stimulus. Traffic. Tavani said traffic. Exactly. Although, a cool thing, and I think this was said maybe a couple of weeks ago, but that Nancy just reminded me, is that our aura extends 16 feet?
8 meters or 26 feet in diameter.
8 meters or 26 feet in diameter, which means that would encompass a lot of the traffic that's around us. So that's cool. And also encompass our energy field with everyone else's energy field that's standing anywhere near us. Unfortunately, that I'm not always aware of that. And so sometimes I'm causing my aura to be some color other than pure sparkly white. So, yeah. So, okay, so I was reading a lot about this, our difficulty with letting go of judgment. And Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, you may think that you don't want to judge, but brother, you do. And as much as I hate admitting that, I see it. And I think that it's a mistake for us to go from the ego's dream of judgment and believing we're separate and thinking that we're jumping right to seeing the Holy Spirit's view of judgment. I think that we can get into a trap there. Don't forget that the ego mind reads the Course in Miracles right along with us. And it's right there in our prayer. It's right there on our shoulder. And it is insidious in trying to get in there, worm its way in there, twist the wording around, twist the meaning around, and have us doing bypasses and have us doing skipping over steps and having us think that we're in a place, an enlightened place, a loving place, a non-judgmental place that we're not. And I don't mean to be the dark cloud here, but I think we need to be really honest with ourselves and really look at it, because Jesus says throughout the whole Course in Miracles, he's constantly saying, look at it. Look at it, look at it, look at it. Look at it with me. Look at it with Holy Spirit. He's not saying just, do the Course in Miracles and be in a course group or do a Teachers of God program or have a daily prayer practice and don't look at your judgments. He's not saying that. And we will not get to enlightenment. We will not get back home if we don't look at this stuff. Jesus talks about in the Course in Miracles as when he's referring specifically to the body when he says that to deny it is a particularly unworthy form of denial. But the body is just another separation idea. So you can not extrapolate, but you can extend that idea of it's a particularly unworthy form of denial to denying everything that has to do with the world of separation, everything that has to do with our world. And our world is a judgment. It's a judgment in the first place. I mean, the fact that we think we separated from God, that was a judgment in the first place. And so even though the Course in Miracles says don't judge, he knows that it is impossible for us not to judge. We judge as soon as we open our peepers in the morning. Okay, I've judged that I'm now in a world and I am separate. I'm waking up and I believe I'm in a body, and that's my first judgment before I've even had my damn coffee. Okay? And so being able to look at the fact that we judge and being able to bring our judgments to Holy Spirit, and that is the only way that they are going to be transformed. But to think, and the reason I'm saying this is because I can get into that myself. I can get into that. I've been a Course in Miracles student for 16 years, and I'm a Course in Miracles. I have a Course in Miracles group in my house, and actually I credit my group, my beautiful group, who many of you here are in, with inspiring me to do this teaching today. And I'll tell you why a little bit later when I explain what was my experience was that made me want to do this. Maybe not made me want to do this, but maybe made me feel like I need to do this. Being able to be honest with ourselves, being able to look at what the judgments really are and how much we are attached to them. If we completely give up our judgment altogether, then we give up our authorship. Okay, so our authorship, the Course in Miracles calls it the authority problem, that we are the author of the dream, that we are the author of the ego's dream, okay? We are not the author of ourselves, but we believe in that dream that we are. That was that whole thing about you can be God. And so if we gave up judgment altogether, if we gave up thinking that someone was separate from us, if we gave up thinking that somebody should have done something different, or it shouldn't be this way. You know, I have people, I do it myself, so I'm not saying only other people do this. I absolutely do it myself, but I do have people who come and see me in my practice or in my coaching practice who will say it wasn't supposed to be this way. I hear that a lot. And I say that a lot. I say that a lot about things in my own life. It wasn't supposed to be this way. And I mean, we can go back way, way, way back and talk about our childhoods. We can talk about our marriages, our divorces. We can talk about our experiences that we've had. We can talk about how somebody done us wrong, or we were unfairly treated. You know, the Course in Miracles says, beware of the temptation to see yourself as unfairly treated. That those are all ways that we subtly or unsubtly try to justify judgment. You know, but in this situation, I really have to judge because, you know, I can't not, right? And I think so we can really kind of get it. I think we can lull ourselves as Course in Miracles students into believing that because we are engaging in these practices and because we are reading this book and this teaching, that we are somehow exempting ourselves from judgment anymore. You know, I've done the Course in Miracles, so now I don't judge anymore. And so I think that's, but the problem with looking at our judgment, and there is a problem with looking at our judgment. The problem with looking at judgment, first of all, the problem with looking at our judgment is that it sucks, right? Not to put too fine of a point on it. Sorry, I spelled that wrong again. That it hurts to look at our judgment. It hurts to admit it. We can go from feeling like we're all love and we're one with God and we're one with each other. And we come to this group and we're all high when we leave here and it's great. And then we catch ourselves making a judgment and we either project it immediately onto somebody else. So it's not our fault. That's our go-to, right? Or we might look at it. We might be like, oh, I got to look at this. Course in Miracles is teaching me to look at my judgments. So we look at it, but we look at it and feel immediately what? Guilt, right? So if we look at our judgments and we look at our judgments with guilt, that's still keeping us in the cycle, right? Because it's still looking at our judgments with guilt is still making the world real. Now I'm judging the world, but then I'm judging myself as a terrible person. So I'm still separate from God. I'm still not joined because now I'm terrible for making that judgment. So the ego is still in there being like, okay, I'm down. Yeah, let's look at your judgment. Because the Course in Miracles tells you to do that. So let's be good Course in Miracles students and let's look at our judgment. Oh, man, look at that judge. Look at what you just said about her. Look at what you thought about that person. Look at you are awful. You are not, and you're not a Course in Miracles. I don't even know why you even call yourself a Course in Miracles student. You're terrible. The ego never says it's your ego, because that would be like, blaming itself. But it does tell us that we're guilty. And it then can start a spiral of like, I'm not holy. I'm not love. I'm not God's son. I'm not worthy. And that's just another form of judgment. That's just going from judging others to judging ourselves. And so that's not worthy of us. So denial of ourselves doing this, denial of us as having these thoughts is not worthy either. Because then denial, this extends to denial of what's going on in the world too. I know people, I know we all know people, and sometimes maybe we are people, I know that I am, who don't want to look at things going on in the world, don't want to look at the bad things happening, don't want to watch the news, and I'm not suggesting that we all have to watch the news, but don't want to hear about anything bad that's happening, don't want to be around anybody who's negative. I don't want to be around them because they're negative. I don't want to be, that's a judgment, okay? Mm-hmm. Judging for somebody, like judging for judging is still judging, right? So not wanting to look at things in the world, not wanting to look at the wars that are going on, not wanting to look at the things that are the injustices that are going on, or not wanting to look at the ways in which the ego is operating in the world is still making the world real. But it's saying, well, I'm not going to look at that because it's not happening, because the world isn't real. So the war's not happening, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it because it's not happening because the world isn't real. This is all an illusion. I don't have to think about domestic violence because it's not happening because it's all an illusion. That's a really dangerous way of us trying to circumvent, our ego mind's trying to circumvent it. It doesn't mean that we have to get it all into it and make it real and judge it. It means we need to look at everything that's going on with the Holy Spirit, with the mind of the Holy Spirit, Not look at it all and judge it and say, that's horrible, that's terrible, how could that be happening? You know, get all into the story of it and all making it real, because again, that's just going to keep us here longer, but not to deny it either, and use the Course in Miracles as a way to not look at the judgment of the ego. Okay, so so the story is that so everybody was on all of you who went to the Camino were on the Camino, and we had some exciting things happening at the Teachers of God Foundation. There was a new website that was being started that was going to be launching. Beautiful new website. I hope you've all been on it. If you haven't, go back on teachersofgod.org. It's beautiful. And I had a blog that was due. And I had been, I've been given what I consider to be the honor of having my blog be featured as the first blog on the new website. And I was super excited about that. And I considered that to be a privilege. And so I thought a lot about the blog that I was writing, and I put a lot into it. I don't know if anybody read it. I think some of you did. It was on planning. And planning, not with the ego, planning with the ego versus planning with spirit, okay? And this is something I do every day. I get up in the morning and I have my planning, the way that I set up my day, and I say how I, would like it to be, and I surrender the whole thing to spirit, and I ask for guidance, and I do the meditation, and I release it all, and I'm here only to be truly helpful, and all of that. And I remember saying in the blog, that I had, as I have been engaging in these practices, and this is true for me, that as I've been doing this, my life has gotten easier. And when my plans get picked up, and somebody cancels on me, or something isn't going to go the way that I want it to be, or I get some financial curveball that happens, or something happens with my body or my boyfriend or whatever it is, that I am much more able to handle it from a place of centeredness, I think I said. And, whenever you say something like that, you just have to be really careful, because the ego mind is listening to what you're saying, and it's going, really? Okay, well, let's just put that to the test. Let's just see if that's really true for you, okay? Let's just see how centered you are when your plans don't go the way that you want them to. And I'm writing about this, how my life is so much easier now, and I'm just really so grateful about that. And I can just now, I remember saying something like, now when something happens with my plans, I can just, kind of roll with it, and whatever. Okay, I mean, I meant it. I was not aware that I was lying. I was not trying to lie, but what happened. Teach is to learn, and I was setting myself up for learning. So what happened was that the blogs involve a video, as you know from getting other people's blogs and maybe some of my own. And so Bill is the consummate videographer and director, and he always shoots my videos, but he was on the Camino. And the blog was due, and those guys were going to be back and all that. So I stressed about it for a while, and I can't do a video. I don't know how to do a video, and I can't shoot my own video, and I don't know. But I know other people who shoot their own videos. And I know Kimberly Cartwright does. She lives on Martha's Vineyard. And so I thought, I can do this. So I didn't ask for any help. Okay, that was my first plan. That was my first plan, my first decision. Don't ask for any help. Don't try to figure out how to do it. Don't call Kim and ask her, how do you do this and how do you send it and all that. Just do it. Your iPad shoots videos, right? So you can do this. So I set my iPad up, and I get myself, some kind of a backdrop, because the first time I shot it, there was a lamp behind me, and then I realized that I was completely in silhouette, couldn't see me. I looked like those people that they interview where they don't want you to know their identity, you know, and they're just talking, but like you can't see their face. And so that was one video trashed. And, you know, Bill talks about how I sometimes come in and I can just shoot the video in one take. Yeah, not when I shoot my own videos. I did like 4 videos, and one of them was like me talking like this. And so I didn't know why. So I finally got it to where it was okay, and I was willing to use it. And I was talking about how in my planning and how I can be okay when my plans change. And so I just thought that like all you do is you just shoot a video and then you just press send on the little thing on your iPad and it just goes off into the ether somewhere and it winds up in the Teachers of God mailbox, and then that's that. And Amy, a wonderful, wonderful angel miracle IT person from Teachers of God, does the website and she does the IT stuff, and I don't even know what that is or what it even means, but she just does all that stuff, and she makes the blogs good, and she's the one that puts the images and the pictures in there and like the memes, and she was putting the website up. And so I had told her I was sending her a video, so she was, you know, waiting for it. And so I just like sent it and didn't think anything else about it. And the next day, now we're short on time. Now it's getting time to where not only the website's launching, and then the blog is going to be coming out to the email address, everybody's email where it comes to. And I start getting messages like, you said you were having it, like I got your blog, but where's the video? And I'm like, oh, I sent it. And no, we don't have it. So then now these guys are back. So I'm asking Bill, like, how do I do this? And he says, well, okay, we're going to set you up with this Dropbox situation, which I don't really know what that is either, but they made it easy for me. And you just have to go and like drag your video over here and just drop it in. Cool, thanks. So I do that. And I'm noticing that the line of like how much has processed and then how much it still has to go. And after like 2 hours, it's gone like 1%. And I mean, I'm no math wizard, but I know that 1% every 2 hours is going to be a really long time to get to 100. And I'm like, I don't really know how this is going to work, you know? So whatever, I leave the house. I come back later. It's at like 3%. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going on here, but I don't really, okay, whatever. So then I get up the next morning and it's like, no, it's like at 5% or some stupid thing like that. So no judgment. So I say, okay, this doesn't seem to be working. Is there something else I can do? So they tell me, okay, we're going to have you upload it to YouTube. So I go on YouTube, I create a YouTube channel, and then I say, okay, I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel, and then somehow I'm going to move it over to their YouTube channel. Okay, so that's my plan now. And so I start doing that, and that starts going faster. So I'm like, oh, good. You know, oh, it's 5%. Oh, now it's 10%. Oh, no, it's 50. You know, it's still taking a long time. And I think that's partly because of where I was in the place that I was, had slower internet. So it's like, okay, it's all good. It's going to happen. So the whole day happens. And then at the end of the day, like the evening, I happen to look at the iPad and it says, there was an error. We didn't do it. Sorry. Like, you know, how they say that, and like YouTube says that too. You know, we couldn't upload it. It didn't work. Sorry about that. And I'm like, oh, and now I'm like out of time. Like this isn't going to work. Like I'm not going to be able to do a video. And I know that. And I know, I mean, because what I say, right? And I said this in that blog was if it's not happening, if your plans aren't happening, they're not supposed to happen. That your plan isn't supposed to happen. And that if your plans aren't going the way you want them to, it's because there's a different plan. And that there's Spirit's plan. And Spirit's plan is the plan we're supposed to be following. And so the way that we know that our plan isn't working is when our plan isn't working. That's how we know. So I'm like, okay, fine. My plan isn't working. I get it. Like I'm just not going to have a video. And there was like ego in that, like not going to have a video with my blog and so then I say, okay, well, I write to those guys, not going to be able to have a video with my blog. And so that's just not going to be able to happen. And so then it was, okay, we'll save your blog for next time. We're going to put a different blog up on the website and we're going to launch it. Oh my God. It was like I never heard of the Course in Miracles. It was like I never heard of the Teachers of God. It was like I never read the blog that I had just written. I went into this complete like meltdown, tailspin, like what? Like I'm not going to be able to be on the website, and my blog's not going out, and it's not going to have a video with it. And this is what I sounded like too, to myself. Fuck this and fuck that and fuck them and fuck you, God, and I worked, and this is me talking to God now. I worked really hard on that blog, and I worked really hard on that video, and I did it so that your word could be spoken through me, and so that I could, everybody could learn about it and planning and doing it, the way you want us to, and now this isn't the way it was supposed to be. And my boyfriend, who, God bless him, is not a Course in Miracles student, but he's heard me talk about it enough. He was like, maybe you should just forgive it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. I don't think so. Not in this instance. I don't think that was Holy Spirit's plan for me. I wasn't supposed to forgive. Anyways, after I sat in my like grossness for a while and marinated in all of it, I literally like went into another room, like a calmer room, quieter room, and I just said, please help me see this differently. Please take this away from me. I know that this is my ego mind. I can feel it. I feel terrible. I know that your will for me, it's not my will, it's thy will. It's you have something for me to learn here. What was the purpose of the video? What I said is, what was the purpose of the video? And I got, the purpose of the video was for you to learn that you could shoot your own video. That's all it was. It was never supposed to be with the blog. It was never supposed to be uploaded. It was never supposed to be whatever my egoic need was for it to be, to go out into the world and be, give the idea to the world that I have it all together with for him planning, because clearly I don't. And so I was like, I got that. And I was like, oh, okay. Thank you. And it was like, just like that, my perception changed from fear to love. And I was like, okay, now you really got to help me look at this. You got to help me look at this, because I got to look at this judgment that I just had. And I got to be able to look at it without guilt, because I feel terrible that I was thinking the things that I was thinking and saying the things that I was saying about people I love, toward God, toward spirit, towards myself. Maybe I'm just not even supposed to be a coach. Maybe I'm just not even supposed to study the Course in Miracles. Maybe I'm just not even supposed to be a minister. Maybe really, it was so ugly. And what I got, that came over me was just a real feeling of peace. And it was, looking at, like you're looking at it, I am looking at this with you, and it was just your ego mind. And that's all it was. And you don't have to worry, and you're not guilty that you are my beloved child. But that it's okay. And that in the ego's dream, you will never be perfect. The ego's dream is set up as a judgment. It is set up as a plan for us never to be perfect. It's set up for us to forget who we are. And so even if you sit and write it all out in a blog and record a video about it and really believe it, every second of it that you're writing it, that there can be something else, there can be a program open underneath it that can be running, that can be like, you don't even know how much judgment is still within you about yourself and about other people. And when we're judging other people, we are judging ourselves. So I was able to get to this beautiful place of forgiveness, and I was able to get to that joining again and letting go of all of it and just being like, the blog is going to go out whenever it goes out, and it's going to reach whoever it needs. Spirit wrote it through me to reach. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, it was obviously for me. And so I was able finally to completely let go of it and just be back in a place of love and back in a place of oneness and not carrying the guilt around of all the judgments that I had had. And then because I know that for me, the way that it often works when I am able to practice forgiveness and let go of my projections in the world then often actually shows me something different. It's like the world appears to change. And I know the world isn't really changing. And I know Jesus isn't coming down into the world and like rearranging everything like chess pieces and being like, you get to have a good experience, you're going to have a bad experience and stuff like that. But I then got a message back from Teachers of God that said, we're going to feature your blog without the video. And I was so grateful for that. I know that didn't have to happen and I wasn't attached to it anymore, but I'm very honored that it did. And I also know that the whole reason why that happened like that and every single step of it, the way that it went was my own doing. It was my own doing. The writing it wasn't my own doing, because I do believe that the writing of the blog, except for any mistakes that were in it, came through me from Spirit. But then what happened after that was my own doing, and the judgment about what should happen with it, that, how it should all work, and that there should be a video with it, and that I'm going to do it, and it has to happen. And because then you get attached to the plan. And I did exactly what I said in the blog not to do. Don't get attached to the outcome. Don't get attached to the plan. And I got totally 150% attached to the way the plan was going to go. And so when it didn't go like that, and after all of the dust settled and after all of the clouds disappeared, and when I could just be the sky again and just be awareness, it all worked exactly perfectly as it was supposed to. And what I loved about that blog when it got published was that the woman who wrote the question in the first place about planning was one of the first people that wrote a comment and said, she wrote back and she had read it. And that just felt very full circle to me. So being able to look at our judgment and not turn a blind eye is really important. Being able to look at our judgment with Spirit, because if we look at our judgment with ego, the ego is going to make us feel terrible about it. But looking at our judgment with Spirit, so that Spirit can help us realize that none of it is real, that this is all in your mind, this is all something you made up, is critical for us to be able to do that. So I just want to read quickly something from the Course, because how do we look at judgment with the Holy Spirit? Well, to me, it's the forgiveness practice, first and foremost. It's asking, help me see this differently. So it's, I forgive whatever this is, remembering that there is nothing to forgive, remembering that I'm dreaming an illusion that the ego mind made up. I forgive myself for dreaming the illusion. I ask Spirit to change my mind and help me see this differently, and I release it to be healed. That's the forgiveness practice. The shorter practice is, you are Spirit, pure, whole, and innocent. All is forgiven and released, which comes from Gary Renard's teachings. But there's also a place in the Course in Miracles where it talks about how do we look at judgment from the Spirit, how do we look at judgment? How do we look at it with Spirit? And so I just want to share a quote with you.
Will you tell
Why
them,
can't I find it?
will you tell them where it can be found?
I would love to, except I didn't put that part in my notes.
Just tell them that.
Yeah.
They're going to ask.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I guess it wasn't part of the plan. Oh, no, here it is. Sorry. Oops, my ego almost said it wasn't part of the plan. Did you catch that? Here it is. Okay. It says, when we find ourselves judging and we want to look at it, and we say we want to look at it with Spirit, take this from me and look upon it, judging it for me. Let me not see it as a sign of sin and death, nor use it for destruction, which is just, sin and death and destruction is just using it as attack, right? Attack thoughts. Teach me how not to make of it an obstacle to peace, but let you use it for me to facilitate its coming. So that's my story of what happened to me on the way of, finding out that it's not so easy to just go from the ego's judgment to the Holy Spirit's judgment. And where I was able to come to was the Holy Spirit's judgment, that in my behaving the way that I did in that situation, and the way that I thought, and the way that my mind went, was a call for love. That's part of how I can look on it without guilt, is realizing that that was my own call for love. And that when I called for love, Spirit answered me with love. So thank you for listening to my story. And I love you so much. I love being able to teach here and being able to come in and have you be able to hold a story that, casts me in kind of a crappy light, and be able, and I just want to, I do want to give a shout out to my Course in Miracles group that I do on Monday nights, my home. Several of you are here, and you might be watching it on live stream, and that I just want to say I love you so much. And that when I shared, so right after all this happened, that Monday night, I had my group, and I told my group about it. And first of all, I said, so this is kind of like the epilogue. So when you read the blog, just consider that this was kind of the epilogue to the blog. And they laughed hysterically. And I love them so much for that. And my friend Dan said, that has to be like your next teaching. And I was like, I didn't say this out loud, but I thought to myself, oh no, that's never going anywhere. No one's ever going to find out of that. I'm not going to say in front of everybody that I did that, and that's where my mind went. And I'm not going to say in front of the teachers of God that I was mad at the teachers of God. And I'm not going to say in front of all of you after writing that plan. I felt like, oh my God, how can I say that? And then it was like, no, you know what? This teaching was for you, Kelly. It's the only one it was for. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing with me. I love you so much. Thank you. Namaste. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I do want to pray. Can we come and make a circle?
So I just want to mention that Jennifer was very moved by your blog, and she's been sharing it, and it was very meaningful to her. So Jennifer had mentioned something.
Jennifer Carey, I think
Yeah.
she's,
Oh, yes. Oh, tell her I love you, Jennifer.
And thank you for
Thank
being so fearless and courageous and authentic. Because you know what happens? The ego can't hang on to that fearless honesty. And because of that, you're totally free. And you're just demonstrating and teaching us to be free in that way. Thank you.
Awesome. Well said.
Yeah. So you want to close us in prayer? You want
Sure.
me to?
No, I got a mic here.
Okay.
I think it's still on. So, Holy Spirit, thank you so much for being with us today, bringing us all together, blessing every chair, bringing all the live streamers with us, and everyone who is in this circle with us in person and in spirit. We are your beloved Son, and we are being taught by your wisdom every moment. My prayer is that we can stay open even as we journey from the ego's judgment to the judgment of Holy Spirit, and ultimately the final judgment where we complete the atonement and recognize that the separation from God never occurred and are pure and whole love and back at home with you. While we are on that path, thank you for being with us, and thank you for bringing these wonderful, mighty companions to walk it with us.
Amen. And
Amen.
The sing of the tithes and offerings?
Yeah.
so I just want to say there was
sorry.
a love box over there, and for the live streamers, there is a donate button. This is what keeps us going and able to do all the different new things and receive all the technology that we need, the travel, just to bring this to the world. So we
The
thank you so
transformation room.
much. Yeah.
Well, I also I actually loved, I loved your teaching so much because it was like so amazing. But what I want to give a big shout out to Bill Free, because people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes. And I want to say that what you experienced with the upload, Bill sits for hours. You guys have no idea. All night.
I have
I'm not kidding.
respect
This
for
guy,
that for you, dude.
and he will wake up in the morning, and it's like the number of shoots and the things that wasn't filmed right, and the light wasn't right. And he'll get up in the morning, and it won't be there. And we have to do it again. So I would like to give a big round of applause. You know, it's amazing to me because it's like, I think we've all gotten so used to the internet. Like, we just think like the audio is all going to work and the sound's going to work. But when you actually have tried to do it yourself and you're like, and it's not just fluky, like it just happens for you. So, you know, it really is incredible.
I have a new respect
and
for
the financial
Bill.
support is everything. It really is. And I think a lot of people think, well, somebody else is giving. And it really is amazing, like, to see the community support, like, to have a space like this. And so I just want to really just express my gratitude to everyone here. Thank you.
Yes.
So do you want
to Bill as
the
well.
prayer? Tithes and
Press out.
offerings?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do the unity prayer. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Woohoo! Thank you, live streamers. We love you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, before you go offline, if you guys came in late to the gathering, make sure you check out the teachersofgod.org, the transformation room. It is amazing. You don't want to miss the content and the experience of the transformation room. It is going to give you a practice.
Totally true.
It's going to intervention. It's going to intervene with your sliding back if you had like something like what Kelly mentioned. And we're also going to support you in the transformation room. So go over to teachersofgod.org. Take a look at that. Sign up for the waiting list. And we'll see you next week. I love you. Bye-bye.